Hi guys, it's Beth. Welcome back to my channel, and today I am sharing my project wrap up for the pumpkin spice pads that I was working on. I used two pads that I had two of the exact same pad, and they had both been dug into already, and so I just decided to go ahead and use them both up at the same time. I didn't notice until the end that I actually did count how many sheets I had combined with the two pads, and there were 57 full sheets left between the two pads, so 57 out of 96, and then I had a ton of scrap pieces. So that's what I originally started with for this project, were the 57 full 12 by 12 sheets. And then what all did I get? You have seen most of it. The only two projects you haven't seen were, actually I guess there's three things you haven't seen. I did do some scrapbook pages, and there was a full 12 by 12 image sheet that had Welcome Autumn, and then it was kind of surrounded by a wreath. And I had every intention of actually doing something different with those. I was going to try and make some art, you know, like a decor piece, and some of you guys had given me some ideas on different ways that I could do decor pieces. But then I realized that I did want to make some some scrapbook pages with this paper, and when I was trying to come up with the title, I looked over and that 12 by 12 sheet was still sitting there, and I'm like, there's my title. So I ended up chopping them up. There were, I think, 3 sheets left. I did use one for a decor piece, and I will insert a picture of that here. And so what I did is I just took out the Welcome Autumn from the center of the page, and then this is the rest. Like this wood grain that is my kind of background page is the rest, and you can see that right here. So I just cut out the autumn words, Welcome Autumn, from the center, and then salvaged the rest of the page in 2 cases. And that way it made a scrapbook page for me basically already. So again, the Welcome Autumn was my title. The background page is from the pad also. Here are some of those labels. Remember the millions of label cut aparts that I had in this pad? Here's one that didn't have any words on it, so I just wrote my date. And then the memories and the tradition were some label cut aparts. And then this little piece was what I had left over from a journal card that I had cut down for something else. So I just used that as a little journal strip for myself. And then used another little scrap of leaf paper here. So that was one layout for, again, I make layouts for my 2 girls and myself. And there's a Heidi here, stuck in here, a dog here. So here is another version, and the very first one the very first page that I cut the Welcome Autumn out of, I didn't just go through the center, I actually cut in through the side of the page, and so I couldn't use it. I couldn't salvage the rest of the page unless I just totally covered it. And so I just went ahead and kind of scrapped that one and used whatever bits and pieces I could from the rest of the page, and then still used the Welcome Autumn as my title. Here I incorporated a few more scraps. That label again with my date, and then here is Bushels of Fun was another label in the pad. And then my final layout uses the 3rd sheet where I got the Welcome Autumn out of the center, and so I'm using the rest of the page as my base. And then I have a couple strips of cardstock here, and these do not actually go all the way through. They kind of, I think, meet up right here. There's like the seam, and so I just kind of pieced them together to make it look like they went all the way across. Here is the label that I could journal on. I did die cut a leaf out of one of the other wood grain papers, and then also from some cardstock. This is a label that I turned backwards so I could journal on it. And then here's one that said families, and one that said friends. And then here's another leaf that I die cut out of like the polka dot wood grain paper. Oh, and here's another leaf. So that kind of helped me finish off the last bits of the pad, because I was saving these Welcome Autumn pieces until the very end. And so after I had made my cards, or I guess as I was making my cards, I did come in and do these scrapbook pages to kind of use up some of that last bits of paper. So I got 3 12 by 12 pages. And then you noticed here that this is what I had left of the covers. And so I also used the cover just to make some simple bookmarks. And these, you know, it's just like the chipboard cover, rounded the corners, punched a hole, and then tied some yarn through the tops. And I will link the video below where I show you how I do my yarn tops for my bookmarks. It's not anything extravagant, but I know some people had asked before, and I did do a video on that, so I will link that below. But I ended up with 8 bookmarks. And then after I had finished off the journals that I showed you guys in my last pumpkin spice video, and made, you know, I had made some accessories, some ephemera pieces to go into the journals. I had some bits and pieces left over of that kind of the ledger or the notebook type writing page. And so I just went ahead and trimmed one down to be like a 4x6 index card. And then I trimmed down some other ones to be tags, and I thought I could stick these in my journal stash and use them in any journal that I do in the future, because there's no print or anything on there that, oh, here's another one, that, you know, would make it go with a certain theme. So, and then I just kind of went through the patterns, the pattern scraps that I had left, and some of the cardstock pieces that I had left, and started punching or die cutting. And so I got some circles out of, like, this was a kind of a canvasy type pattern, and then like a light blue pattern. Here's one where I just did with one of the stripes. And then I got some hearts out of wood grain. I got a handful of these. I liked that wood grain. And then here's some more of those leaves that I cut from the polka dot wood grain. And then some flowers from like the ombre pattern, and a leaf from the ombre pattern. So these, again, I can just kind of throw in my punch stash and use on future projects. And then I will go ahead and show you what I had left when all was said and done. What I just either didn't want to use or didn't feel like I could use anywhere. So this was just the little usable scraps that I had left. And I found this one later. I probably could have used this one somewhere, but I didn't find it until later on, after when I was cleaning up. It was under some cardstock scraps that I had left. So not bad, considering that it was, you know, over 57 sheets of paper worth to end up with this, you know, being scrapped. I'm okay with that. So we'll kind of sum up what else I got from the pad. So I got the 3 12x12 scrapbook pages. I got 4 3x5 notepads. And I showed most of these, but I think I did end up making one more later on. It may be that one that I ended up making later on. And these just use like the Dollar Tree lined notepads. So I got 4 of those, 4 bread wraps, let's see, 6 mini note cards, just two different patterns, 3 each, a wine tag, there we go, 12 hot cocoa or cider packets, whatever you want to call them, and 3 of the journals that I showed you in the last video, the 8 bookmarks, and the 7 block sets. I did 7 block sets using like 1 sheet of paper from this pad, and I will insert a picture of those here just because it's hard to kind of bring them through and show them on camera. So, and then, oh yeah, I had these embellishments that I made using the sunflowers. That can go in my stash of stuff to use on a future project. And then I ended up with 41 of the note cards that I made, and then 63 A2 size cards. So pretty good haul from these 2 pads, 2 partial pads. And again, these were from, what did I say? I don't remember. I think like 2016. I know this is one of the older pads that I've had from the CraftSmith. So anyway, that is how I used my pumpkin spice pads from CraftSmith in August. I hope you guys enjoyed following along on my fall pad project with me last month and got some ideas if you had a pad. I know there were like several years in a row where they had some pads that were similar to this, and the colors were slightly off and maybe some of the images were a little bit different, but the basic page layouts were the same. Like they all had those like pages of the little label cut aparts, and then the journal cards and some other cut aparts. So they all kind of followed along that same theme, same layout. So anyway, hope you guys got some ideas from this and enjoyed it. If you had a favorite project from this pad or from these pads, let me know that below. I will include the playlist for all of the projects that I've shared in the description box below in case you missed anything. But I thank you guys so much for your time, and September is going to be Halloween for me, so stay tuned for my pad preview, which should be coming out tomorrow for the pad that I'm going to be working on in September. But thanks again, guys, and I hope you're all having a very crafty day.